All right. Hello and welcome to another rendition of Z Has Allergies and tries to read detachments and give something resembling a reasonable take on them. This is our penultimate edition. It is the 23rd of Grotmas, which means that today is World Eaters, tomorrow I believe is Space Wolves, and then that will be it. The Red Gobbo will have delivered all of his gifts to all of the good and bad little boys of the Warhammer 40k universe. And then we will retire until next Grotmas, or more likely when there is a cool update for Homestuck Beyond Canon. And I will just be able to worry about PoE 2 until I am satisfied with that project. So, today we have a look at battlefield trophies. We have something interesting going on there, and then, of course, why we're here today. So, festoon your bases with your vanquished foes. There's an age-old adage in painting miniatures. Bases and faces make miniatures look aces. That is so trite. It's hard to even comment on that. It is true, though. Properly basing your miniatures does really, there are a handful of things, like little things you can do that drastically improve the look of a miniature. One of them is just texturing your base and then just putting a nice dry brush on it, or putting like some texture paint that, like the kind that G-Dub or Vallejo sells or whatever. And the other is just, just putting a wash on your miniature, like any kind of like null oil or Agrex Earth Shade, or if you've got lighter toned Seraphim Sepia. All of those just drastically improve the quality of your miniature, or at least the visual look of it on the tabletop. And they don't actually take all that much time and effort. But it looks like we have a new skull pack, and look at this skull pack. Oh, it comes with a freaking like cratered. We need to see if we can trick G-Dub into doing an Ultramarine in the Yamcha pose. Like, we really need to see if we can trick. I know I've seen people do that, like kit bash an Ultramarine into the Yamcha pose, but look at this. There's so many cool freaking helmets on this that you can just smash on a base as a decoration for it. I could have used this. This literally looks like what I've currently got one of my Gene Stealers doing on one of my old tokens. Because Gene Stealers used to have the infestation tokens. This literally looks like what he's doing. That would have saved me so much time if I'd had this instead. Because I had to very carefully like cut and position so he's staring up from the base. So big freaking war boss head. Like, I need to get this just to have like more different varieties of skulls and stuff to put on my Tyranid characters. I know what I'm doing for Old One Eye. I've got the whole Old One Eye thing kitted out and already figured out. I already know kind of how I'm going to kit bash that. I've got the lieutenant model that I'm going to rip to pieces for it. Like, that's actually they should make bodies. Like, they should just make whole bodies for you to like rip apart and like place together. Like, and forget skulls. And we need more stuff like this, I think, for like basing decorations. Of course, they're going to charge a premium for this, but I haven't figured out though what I'm going to do for the Swarmlord. Swarmlord is actually you would think for a Tyranid player I'd want to get the Swarmlord done really quickly, but Old One Eye is more important right now as far as like actually like having good pieces. I love Carnifexes. I used to play. One of my favorite pieces from second edition was my old freaking like. He's so tiny now in comparison to Screamer Killer. And unfortunately, the glue failed and he fell to pieces, and I gotta redo him. But I've got so much more stuff to work on. But yeah, Swarmlord's actually kind of way down my list in my priorities. But even then, I'm like, what am I going to do for him? I'm probably going to be one of the people who ends up using the Flyrant tail to kind of try to put him into like a jumping action pose. I want to do him more like the original like art for the Swarm Lord, where he has like the big like cleaver style bone sabers, that are a lot closer to the original bone swords that Hive Tyrants have always had, and got like the whole like quad jaw thing where he's got like the talons coming off the jaw, you know. So I know kind of like what I want to do, but I still haven't figured out what I'm going to do for the base. Like I don't know what I'm going to do to make the base like appropriately awesome for him as one of my big centerpiece miniatures. But just having some of these to like litter along the base of my Norns would be very nice when I finally get around to my Norns. My Norns are actually probably going to beat Old One Eye are going to beat the Swarm with a punch. Old One Eye is actually like the almost on deck. Like I've already got him kind of already all of his pieces already set up to be kit bashed, because I am going to kit bash Old One Eye. I'm not going to do just the standard head swap on the Carnifex. But yeah, he is almost on deck. I just have some stuff I want to do for Titanicus first. I've already also kind of started some of the Leviathan stuff, but I'm actually going to finish the Leviathan after I do Old One Eye, because Old One Eye has waited long enough. I actually started kit bashing him and prepping the kit bash pieces like literally years ago. So he is well past due. We got Creekheads, we got King. This really is just a really nice Custodes. There's something I put on freaking Custodes' head. Like there's a way to show that a monster is badass. Yeah, freaking just cratered freaking Space Marine there. 288 plastic base topper bits across 2 frames. Here's some more of them. And they got them. We're also sure kit bashers and creative models find plenty of uses for varied selection of heads and skulls. Keep an eye out on the Warhammer community in this new year when they'll be available for pre-order. Sadly, this game won't award any victory points based on 10 you get for your battle-ready army. Pardon me. But no, that is like I said, they're probably going to charge a decent chunk for it. Like I imagine this will cost the same thing. That like this will cost like the same amount as like an upgrade sprue or a character mini. But this is a fun little thing. I mean, like they have a lot of fun details on this. Like this is a premium little decorating kit. Like I've said this before, I'll say it again. I honestly think, and I know, like I can imagine like me saying this if like someone from GW hears this, just like fuming. But I honestly think 3D printing is like the best thing that's ever happened to Games Workshop miniatures. Like seriously, because they've had to up their game so much. And you can see it in all of the cool details and artistry that they even put into just bits like this. Like if they I know a lot of people were complaining, and I even myself complained about the fact that there weren't bespoke Def Company sculpts for the Blood Angels. But the upgrade sprues for the Blood Angels are fantastic. Like they're really freaking good. And like they've been doing, like even with their bits, they have been absolutely knocking it out of the park. Because why would anyone buy their bits if they're the same quality as something you can get from just like, my mini factory for like alternate head sculpts and stuff like that? So they really have had to like just, and they really are. They're fantastic. They're absolutely great. Like I really do want this set so I can have some fun with decorating it. All right. Add a touch of the divine to your gang with the Co-Iron Ministorm Delegation. So this is a Necromunda piece. And I can't tell if this individual is supposed to be sleeping or in a trance or whatever. But obviously, We've got some ultra religious zealot ganger types here. And we know that that is a big deal on Necromunda. Like there is like basically religious zealotry took over Primus. So or almost took over. Technically the hereditary family still holds sway, but just barely. These are fantastic too. These are just fantastic too. I really like these. Necromunda has some, again, GW in general, but any place where like the Warhammer team is just let loose to do whatever they want and just have fun, you just get like the most amazing miniatures. And anytime places where they're more hidebound by like, well, the fans are expecting this, you know, or they need to look like this, or that's where you get the less impressive sculpts. Members of House Co-Iron Ministorm delegation are devout souls who fervently believe their every action is witnessed by him on Terra, and as such they will not shirk from a fight. If a House Co-Iron Ministorm delegation fighter rolls a natural double one on their cool check when making either a rally test or nerve test, they may immediately re-roll the cool check. So you only get that re-roll on a 1 in 36, but hey, it's still cool. Hey, get it? All right, now for why we are actually here. Eat, drink, and be furious. All right, so before I start reading, World Eaters. World Eaters are in a good spot competitively. As far as their numbers go, they are just a nice, solid B to A tier army. They do decently in almost on most tables. They do struggle a little bit on the absolute highest level of competition, though. The biggest problem World Eaters have right now is they are a very solved army. World Eaters lists tend to look identical to each other with just like little variations in, you know, so like you're gonna have like Angron, and then you're gonna have a handful of squads of jackals, you know, one to 2 units of jackals and 1 to 2 units of Khorne berserkers, and then you're going to have like 1 or 2 chaos spawn, and then the rest is all going to be 8 bound and like a World Eaters rhino, and that's basically it. You've got your list. So that is the biggest problem. So this is something a detachment can potentially solve. The current World Eaters list is just the pure offensive list. It is all about dishing out and doing damage, like getting stuck in and really, really putting the hurt on your opponent. It's got the whole when you charge in, when you get the charge, you get +1 attack and strength, which is a dynamite buff to have on your units on the charge. And the funny thing is like when it comes to actually playing World Eaters, like the way Jack Harpster puts it is everyone thinks it's a very unga bunga list, like you just you know you scream blood for the blood god and charge your units forward, but you actually it's very much you have to set up your positioning, you know, get yourself into position, start the trading game, and then you have to be very judicious with your trades and how you counterpunch and how you beat back at your opponent, because it's very easy for the World Eaters to lose their units to the point where they can't score anymore. And of course, one of the big things about Angron is probably one of the reasons he's in almost every list is not just because he potentially adds another 400 plus points to your army if you bring him back, but he's a really good tool for both punishing and getting your opponent to react in the way you want them to react. So you still have to kind of be very judicious and careful how you use Angron, because if you lose him too early, even though, yes, he can come back, you lose a really important tool for both punishing your opponent's mistakes and for trying to get your opponent to make mistakes. So do not mistake World Eaters for being any kind of brain dead army. You really do need to know how to play them in order to get the army to work right. The World Eaters have earned Khorne's favor, which is the only gift they need this Christmas, and you can join in the festive argument with the Vessels of Wrath detachment. Oh, it looks like we've got a vehicle. So our themes for Grotmas, for the most part, have been vehicles or mixed armies, and then every so often they've done something elsewise unique. But the vast majority of the factions have gotten either a vehicle focused army or a mixed detachment focused army, a combined arms focused army. When the power of the warp waxes and Khorne's worshippers pour into battle, the bloody butchery reaches new heights. Upon this carmine altar of war, Khorne's champions complete mercilessly to win his favor and feel his forge hot touch upon their souls. Every savage stride along the path to glory sees them hack down more luckless foes. Blood runs in rivers and smears barricades with arterial sprays as the champions of Khorne strike off heads and carve open bodies, seeking the worthy kill that will, for but the most fleeting of moments, catch the eye of Khorne. Amidst such wanton carnage, even the lowliest devotee of the blood god can begin their rise to power, their comrades looking on with naked hunger as aspiration becomes a violent reality. With the Wrath of Khorne detachment rule, your World Eaters champions becomes Vessels of Wrath. So the picture, I was thinking vessels as in the vessels carrying your thing, but it looks like you're literally about becoming a vessel to Khorne. World Eaters become Vessels of Wrath and are gifted with another blessing of Khorne each battle round. They confer this blessing to their unit, allowing for these chosen to bring carnage to their enemies. The Arch Slaughterer enhancement grants a World Eater's character improved armor penetration as he puts his rage into each swing, and when they are a Vessel of Wrath, they are also bolstering their weapons damage by 1. 2 very, very important buffs in combat. Looking to prove their prowess at all times, these World Eaters may use the stratagem Overshadowed by None, which gives them rerolls to wound when targeting a monster or vehicle. No foe, whatever its size, will overshadow Khorne's favored. And then join us in a few months for World Eaters, our next seasonal Warhammer crossover. World Easter. Sorry. In the meantime, we saved the goodest boys for last. The Space Wolves arrive tomorrow. Oh, I hope that means it's a dog-heavy list. I hope it means they're getting a dog-heavy detachment. Get the puppos out. I've the wife of the guy who runs my Warhammer store that I attend to. She put together all doggo Space Wolves. All right, so let's take a look at the detachment. Let's see what kind of rules they've come up with. Vessels of Wrath. Detachment rule, Wrath of Khorne. From storied conqueror to obscure squad leader, every Khornate champion treads a personal path to glory. However unsung their names, they believe that the Blood God may deign to invest any of those hopefuls with a small measure of his wrath, in expectation they will not squander it. At the start of the battle round, after activating Blessings of Khorne, you can select one or more models from your army from those listed below, including models that are embarked within transports. Thank you, GW. Thank you for continuing to remember that models on the transports should be on the battlefield and get things. A World Eater's character, excluding epic heroes. So, can't put this on Karn. He's already honored enough. He's already blessed by Khorne enough. And obviously you can't put it on Angron. He's basically just kind of Khorne incarnate already. An 8-bound champion, an exalted 8-bound champion, a Khorne Berserker champion, and a World Eater's Terminator champion. Still sad that we don't officially have Red Butchers back yet, but we know that they need to pump up the list, and we know every time they get a codex, and perhaps also every time we get a narrative event, they might be getting a new unit. That's kind of how it works for all factions. Either that or they get a refresh. One or more. So you can, it sounds like you can select as, okay, nope, well, here's our limit. You can select the same type of model multiple times. The maximum number of models you can select depends on the battle size as follows. You get 2 at 1,000 points, 3 at 2,000, or 4 at 3,000. So basically you get 1 and then 1 for every 1,000 points. Until the end of the battle round, each of those models has the Vessel of Wrath keyword. We recommend marking such models with a suitable token. Then select one Blessing of Khorne that is not currently active for your army. Until the end of the battle round, that Blessing of Khorne is active for Vessel of Wrath units from your army in addition to any others that are active for your army. Okay, so the way this is going to work, you roll your Blessing of Khorne, you pick your 2 powers like you normally do, potentially also bringing back Angron. Then, after you've done that, and after you've selected the 2 powers, you just get, it looks like you just get to pick a blessing. So, if you just want to get Warp Blades on one of your champions, or Unbridled Bloodlust. Now the thing is it's only for the model. Like, I think it's until the end of the battle round, each of these models has the Vessel of Wrath. So until the end of the battle round, that blessing is active for the Vessel of Wrath units from your army, in addition to any other. So they basically get this keyword. If your model is joined to a unit, it will give that keyword. So yeah, you can just give out Advance in Charge to 3 of your units. That's fantastic. And if you happen to be lucky and already get it, you can give out Lethal Hits. You can give up 4 Fight on Death. You just get to give one of these that you didn't get to your unit, to 3 units. Yeah, that's pretty freaking good. That is pretty freaking good. Now, I'm already worried that, again, this is, all about just, making... Now, this is more character focused. So you do need to make sure you're bringing your World Eaters characters. But I am also still worried that this is going to feel like it's going to have a lot of overlap with the basic detachment, which gives everybody a benefit. But even still, like, just being able to guarantee 3 of your units have Advance in Charge is fantastic. All right, Arch Slaughterer, 25 points. This gifted killer channels the fullness of his rage into every weapon string, doubly so when the Blood God's gaze is upon him. One of your models, improve the armor penetration characteristic of melee weapons equipped by the bearer by 1. While the bearer is a Vessel of Wrath, improve the damage characteristic of those weapons by 1 as well. And more than likely, you're always going to have that one be. So this is +1 AP, +1 damage. This is a good, and 25 points is a near perfect cost for it. You're probably going to take this. Especially since, again, this is intended to be your character-focused detachment, your champion-focused detachment. So you're going to take a character, you're going to take like a Master of Executions or something like that, and you're going to put it on them. All right, Vox Diabolus, 20 points. Anointed with the Vitae of the freshly slain, this champion's triumphant roars are supernaturally amplified until they echo into the warp. Each time the bearer's unit destroys an enemy unit with a melee attack, roll 1d6, adding 1 to the result. If the bearer's unit is Vessel of Wrath on a 4+, you gain a CP. Yes. Yes. You're taking this one too. This is a great start. Kleenex back in the box. Avenger's Crown. This circlet of black iron is said to grant its wearer a surge of vengeful violence when their doom becomes inescapable. World Eater's model only. If the bearer is destroyed by a melee attack, if it has not fought this phase, roll a d6. On a 2+, do not remove him from play. That destroyed model can fight after the attacking unit has finished making its attacks and is then removed from play. Considering it's just the bearer, I don't know why this isn't a just flat out fight on death, but a 2+ fight on death is still pretty good. You will roll that one more than you will like. Like, it will feel, even if it's not true, it will feel like you roll this, like you fail this more than 1 in 6 times. Like, it'll feel like you've got a 50-50 shot of rolling this. That's just kind of the way things feel when you have stuff like this. But also, it is something where you're only getting a benefit if your model is killed. But if you've got a unit that you're planning on making a trading piece, this is something you could potentially do with that. Gateways to Glory, 10 points. Like an axe swept through the defenseless flesh, some patron demons of Khorne rip portals in reality for this favored servant to surge through. So you can either put this on one of your demon princes, which you don't normally take, but maybe this will make it something worthwhile, or you put this on a mounted model. Each time the bearer makes a normal, advance, or charge move, it can move horizontally through models and terrain features. When doing so, it can move within engagement range of such models, but cannot end a normal or advanced move within engagement range of them. So one of the big problems with a mounted unit or with a monster like a Demon Prince is that, especially on a 10th edition terrain board, it's hard to move them around. 10 points, and you basically get to ignore that. This is also really good if you're going to be taking, like, a champion on Juggernaut, or just if you're going to take the Demon Prince. So this is also really good if that's the way you want to roll. So we've got 2 that are basically auto-include. One that you might build around as far as, like, I'm going to make this unit a trading piece, so I'm just going to use 15 points to try to get a little bit of extra juice out of the trading piece. Or you can use this if you're planning on taking something on a Juggernaut or a Demon Prince. I don't normally see those right now, but hey, again, maybe this detachment might have something that'll make those a bit more worthwhile. All right. So I think this is a fantastic, this is a good solid, I would say, A-tier detachment roll. Like, obviously, like, army-wide advance and charge would be better, but being able to just guarantee 3 of your units get advance and charge is fantastic. And then I would say this is a good, solid A-tier enhancement list. You've got 2 that you're probably always going to want to take, and then you've got 2 that, depending on what you want to do, you might grab them. Nothing here is bad. I think the worst one is probably Avenger's Crown. And like I said, even then, World Eaters, you really need to do your trades. So having something to get more value out of that trade, is one of those things where it's like, well, it's a trading piece. Do I want to spend more points on it? But potentially spending 50 more points might get you more in the trade. So you got to kind of weigh it up. All right, Aspire to Infamy, 1 CP battle tactic. With proven champions of Khorne looking on, those of lesser renown hurl themselves into the fray with greater ferocity, eager to prove their prowess. Use in any fight phase with a Khorne Berserkers or Jackals unit from your army that has not been selected to fight this phase and is within 8 inches of 1 or more friendly World Eaters characters. That would mean also if you've got a character that has joined them. Until the end of the phase, improve strength and armor penetration characteristic of melee weapons equipped by non-character models in your unit by 1. Do you want to actually, make an opponent regret getting hit by Jackals? This will make them regret getting hit by Jackals. And this is just This is mean on Khorne Berserkers. Like, this is real legit mean on Khorne Berserkers. So this is great. Just plus one strength and AP. Just fantastic. Punish the Craven, 1 CP, strategic ploy stratagem. The Blood God is said to detest cowards. Meting punishment to such degenerates is a sure way to win his favor and gain his wrathful boons. Use this in your opponent's movement phase, just after an enemy unit, excluding monsters and vehicles, is selected to fall back. You pick either a infantry unit, such as your Khorne Berserkers or your 8-bound, or a Demon Prince unit from your army within engagement range of the enemy unit. When that enemy unit falls back, all models in that enemy unit must take a Desperate Escape test. When doing so, if your unit is a Vessel of Wrath unit, subtract 1 from each of those tests. We've been seeing a lot of fallback options in these detachments. Being able to say, yeah, no, that's gonna hurt. Yeah, this is also a good strat. So we're off to a really good start for the stratagem section. Overshadowed by None. This is the one we had previewed. This is a 1 CP battle tactic. The more towering and monstrous the adversary, the better a chance that its bloody end will win the approbation of Khorne. Use in any fight phase 1 World Eater's infantry, mounted, or demon prince unit from your army that has not been selected to fight this phase until the end of the phase. Each time a model in your unit makes an attack that targets a monster or vehicle unit, you can re-roll the wound roll. World Eaters do not have a lot that helps them deal with monsters and vehicles, so this stratagem is very welcome. This is another just welcome inclusion. Meet Force with Force. 1 CP, strategic ploy. Desperate to prove themselves to the Blood God in this hour of infernal glory, these warriors are only goaded to more ferocious efforts by the enemy's attempt to hold them at bay. Use in your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit is shot. You pick one of your World Eater's infantry, mounted, or demon prince. So it's funny because it seemed like this was all about characters to begin with, and technically the demon prince is a character. But we're noting that it is still expecting you're going to join those characters to infantry, and that they're going to lend their strength to those infantry. That lost 1 or more wounds as a result of those attacks. Your unit can make a Blood Surge move. To do so, roll a d6. Models in your unit move a number of inches up to the result, but your unit must end that move as close as possible to the closest enemy unit, excluding aircraft. When doing so, those models can be moved into engagement range of the enemy unit. If your unit is Khorne Berserkers or a Vessel of Wrath unit, you can re-roll the d6 to determine how far your unit can move. So Khorne Berserkers already have a Blood Surge, so you wouldn't normally target the Khorne Berserkers with this. But this one, if you do target them, you get to re-roll the d6 if you don't like the result. And again, the way Blood Surges works have changed. You only ever get, I think it's 1 Blood Surge per turn. It might even be 1 Blood Surge per battle round. I'd have to check. But you're limited to the number of Blood Surges you can make. Gory Dedication, 1 CP strategic ploy. To the World Eaters, every battlefield is an altar upon which to offer up crimson sacrifices, where the lifeblood of their victim falls to it anoints the ground as a holy to Khorne's murderous creed. Use in any fight phase just after a World Eater's unit from your army has fought if 1 or more enemy models were destroyed as a result of those attacks. You're gonna kill something. Your World Eaters, you're gonna kill something. You pick that unit, select 1 objective marker you control that your unit is within range of. That objective marker remains under your control until your opponent's level of control over that objective marker is greater than yours at the end of the phase. So this is sticky objectives. You just have to kill something first, and that's fine. It's not as good as the one in the core detachment, but it is fine. I am beginning to worry I caught something, that this might be more than allergies today. Got a little bit of a sore throat, and now I've got a bit of a cough. All right, Brazen Contempt, 1 CP battle tactic. Empowered by flowing waves of hatred that they believe emanate from the blood god himself, Khorne's worshippers feel nothing but scorn at their enemies' pitiful blows. Your opponent's shooting phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets, you pick one unit from your army that was selected as one of those targets. Until the end of the phase, each time an attack targets your unit, if the strength... So this is transhuman physiology. This is the new version of transhuman physiology. Till the end of the phase, each time an attack targets your unit, if the strength characteristic of that attack is greater than the toughness characteristic of your unit, subtract 1 from the wound roll. Okay. So, if your unit that you're protecting, if the unit you're trying to get a little bit more juice out of, because that's usually what's going on here, is you have set up, you're setting up one of your trades, so you're trying to get a little bit more juice out of them. If that unit is just a regular unit in your army, either it doesn't have a character or you didn't select it for Vessel of Wrath, it gets new transhuman. So if the strength characteristic of the weapon is greater than your toughness, it's -1 to wound. So at most, your opponent's going to get a 3+ to wound you if they manage to have double. In any other case, they're going to be getting a 4+. But if this is your Vessel of Wrath unit, so if you are like positioning or trying to set up something using one of your Vessel of Wrath units, then you just get -1 to wound instead. So it is just a flat out, your opponent gets -1 to wound. So this is a really good defensive stratagem. Like, this is a really good. It's basically transhuman plus. So this is a good suite of stratagems. Aspire to Infamy is fantastic. Overshadowed by None is fantastic, especially since, like I said, World Eaters do have problems with monsters and vehicles. Punish the Craven, especially since we've got all of these stratagems that are now in the wild that are like fall back and shoot, or fall back and charge, or fall back and shoot and charge. Meet force with force, like, you know, giving out a blood surge. Sticky objective. It's conditional sticky objective, but it's still sticky objective. This is really, really good. I'd say Gory Dedication is probably the weakest one that they've got, but I would say otherwise, this is pretty close to an S tier stratagem list. So again, I am a little worried. It seemed like their goal was they wanted to make a character focused detachment. And technically it is. Technically, this is a character focused detachment. But the way the rules carry out, it's still very much focused on your infantry and buffing your infantry, which is basically what Relentless Rage is. So there is definitely, like I said, there is some fluff here that they are trying to bring out. Like, it is not just even though there is overlap in how the rules are playing out, there is some actual fluff here. But it does feel like there is a lot of overlap with Relentless Rage. So you're basically just looking at your army, and you're trying to decide which of these is going to benefit your playstyle the most. I don't think this is enough to bring Demon Princes into play. Like, GW just has to fix Demon Princes and actually make them worth taking. But, you know, basically everything else that can be affected is something. Well, Terminators also, I think, need some love too. But you're going to be taking Berserkers. You're going to be taking 8-bound and Exalted 8-bound. You're going to probably be taking a Master of Executions. So, like, if you just look at the units right now that are good and relevant in World Eaters, this still helps those units. So, is it better than Relentless Rage? Well, the big thing with Relentless Rage is it's your entire army. Your entire army is getting the +1 strength and attacks on the charge, and that is just a fantastic buff. Like, +1 strength and attacks on the charge is just great. So, while this one has other buffs you can give, like it gives you a lot more flexibility and control, you're only selecting certain units to get it. You're going to have 3 units every turn that are going to benefit from this. So I think this is going to be one of those cases where like probably like a lot of people are going to recommend that until you've got more experience with the army, you stick to the Berserker Warband. And then like if you want to like express skill, I think you use Vessels of Wrath. And I think that's probably how things are going to break down. I think the really, really skilled players will probably get more use out of Vessels of Wrath than Berserker Warband. But Berserker Warband, I think on the whole, is just like the generically more powerful detachment. And again, like I said, it's not that there is no fluff here. It's just that from the actual expression of what is going on in the game, in the terms, because at the end of the day, it is still the same units are getting are getting buffed. You're taking the same army and you're giving buffs to the units. It's just a question of whether or not your entire army has a buff that they get to use when they charge, or whether or not you're picking and choosing which units get what relevant buff is relevant to you in the moment, and the stratagems are basically the same way. So I do think this is a good detachment. I actually think that we're probably going to see a decent number of World Eaters players take this. Again, for the same reason that we're going to see a lot of these detachments get taken. It's a new detachment to play with. It's something new to try, even if there is a lot of overlap with the old detachment. But I do think that like the really good World Eaters players are going to have success with this. Like, I definitely think like Jack Harpster could grab this and just absolutely like pick an opponent apart with this. So yeah, this is a good detachment. I think it is a good solid detachment for what is currently a good solid army. And I think that's basically all there is to say in the matter. So go anoint battlefields with blood for Khorne and claim skulls for his throne, guys. I've been a Divine Erdrick, and I will see you all in the 41st